Now, to be fair, it wasn't just the defense changing its theory on the fly. The prosecution also changed course to fit the available evidence, specifically when it came to the question of how Alex Murdaugh would not have been covered in blood or injured after this rampage. When Murdaugh was indicted, grand jurors were told by law enforcement that he had sort of faint blood spatter on the T-shirt he was wearing the night Maggie and Paul were shot. But there were significant questions raised about the credibility of the spatter expert prosecutors had initially relied on to build the case. And eventually, the state essentially abandoned its blood spatter theory, instead suggesting during trial that Murdaugh has changed his clothes multiple times that night, a shifting theory the defense attempted to attack from day one.
You're going to hear their witnesses explain the catastrophic injuries to Paul, that his head literally exploded. And whoever shot him with that shotgun was probably no more than 3 feet away. His head exploded. You would be covered in blood from head to foot. There's no blood on him. They didn't find any blood on him. SLED's testing indicated 12 different places on his shirt and pants. No human blood detected. Period.
So what we have is a convoluted, somewhat complicated case where even the prosecution, not just the defense, have to adapt in real time to the evidence being presented at trial. As we look back at the key evidence in the case, joining me now is Bob Schalk, former homicide prosecutor and criminal defense attorney, and Donte Mills, also a defense attorney. Thanks a lot for coming on the show. Appreciate it. All right, so Bob, how significant do you think the shifting theories have been for both the prosecution and the defense?
I'll start with the defense. The shifting theory as it pertains to Murdaugh and not being at the kennels and that Snapchat video coming out is the reason he testified, in my opinion. He had to testify because if he doesn't and he can't answer for why he was there and why he lied to prosecutors and, lied to law enforcement is the reason he testified. And that thereafter hurt him more because he had to admit to all the lies, lie after lie after lie after lie after lie. So they had to shift to, I have to answer for the one lie I can't admit, potentially the murder of his family, but I have to then get up there and admit and tell the jury I'm the biggest liar this side of town's ever seen.
Right.
As it pertains to the prosecution, as a prosecutor, you're all about your integrity. You're all about the truthfulness of everything you're supposed to bring. You're supposed to be fair and balanced. And the prosecution shifting theories is a chink in their armor where a jury can be like, wait a second, you went in front of a grand jury, presented X, and now you're telling us Y and completely ignoring X? That can have a juror...
And the defense actually used that as a weapon, right?
Absolutely.
Again and again in the case. I want to play. This is number 3. This is in the defense's closing argument. They're talking about the shifting theory that Alex Murdaugh is admitting to, but also pointing the finger directly at the prosecutors.
Circumstances don't point conclusively to Alex's guilt. Far from it. Mr. Waters wants you to believe that Alex slaughtered Maggie and Paul on June 7th and repeatedly lied and changed the story to fit the timeline and evidence. As it turns out, in fact, the state is the one that's been manipulating evidence to fit their theories of guilt, which changed over time, from the date of these murders until yesterday.
Now, I guess my question is, how important to a jury is it? Meaning lawyers will look at that and go, oh, it's horrible. Former prosecutor's going to watch this and say, oh. But how important to jurors will that be in the context, do you think, in the big picture here?
To the jury as a whole, probably not as important as I'm making it out to be. But if it's important to one juror, that's what the defense needs. It needs to be important to one person. They need to look for that juror who's nodding their head along when they're questioning the integrity of the investigation, the integrity of the prosecutor.
And Donte, it seems to me that the strongest way that they can use evidence like that is when there's a juror who's either on the fence, a juror who's maybe sympathetic to Murdaugh, who can then start pointing fingers, expert testimony, questions that were posed, right? That's, I think, where it could end up being very advantageous to the defense.
When I'm picking a jury, I always ask people to come in open-minded. And during the trial, I look to see who truly is open-minded, and you can tell. And then towards the later part of the trial, I start to gear my arguments towards them because I know all they need is a reason. And that's what that evidence does. It gives somebody who's open to it a reason to go one way or the other.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.